Preview. You're listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
You know who it is. You know what it is. It's The Sizzle in the building, baby, with an interview with one of the hottest coaches in the region. You know who's here. Angela Blakely's in the building. But before we can get started, I've got to say, he's G.SIZZLE. I'm G.SIZZLE. And you know, if you have not liked, subscribed, and shared to the channel, shame on you and shame on your friends. Really? But you have a chance to redeem yourself by just hitting the button, hit the like all button, hit the share all button, and get all of the content immediately when it comes out as we post daily. So make sure that you've liked, shared, and subscribed to this information. This is The Sizzle. And now, without further ado, I know my English teacher told me I should never, ever say without further ado, but I don't know what.
I love that term, though.
Yeah, I liked it too, but obviously she did not like it. She was like, you should never use that term again.
How further is your ado, though? That's the question, though. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
the
where
point.
Where is your ado?
That's the point. When you get to a dude, are you too far out there to be a dude, and now you have something else? I don't know what comes after a dude. I don't know.
Sorry, coach.
I just thought it's about when you start talking literature and then, you put it all together and then you get a dude and then, okay, yeah, whatever. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, how about that one? I like that. We have Coach Angela Blakely in the building. Coach, how are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. And I know we got a lot to talk about. Next few minutes, we're going to sit down and talk about a couple of things. We're going to chop it up. And I know Jay's going to start off, and we're just going to keep rolling through. It's going to be easy peasy. Can you say easy peasy cover girl anymore?
Well, you could be easy peasy if you are behind your ado. You know what I'm saying? That's where your easy peasy usually is at.
Okay. So it's behind
one thing that's easy. One thing that's easy peasy is Angela's ability to play basketball.
Yes. Yes.
What people don't realize right now, we have one of the greatest basketball players that the state of Indiana has ever produced. And also, she has, with her daughter, brought on one of the best basketball players to ever play in the state. Angela, tell us about it. How does it feel to know that you are one of Indiana's finest, but your daughter is also one of Indiana's finest? Tell us about that.
Well, honestly, I mean, I guess it's humbling. I mean, I don't even make a big deal out of it. It's just a part of who we are. You know what I mean? So I don't really make a big deal out of all of the accolades that have come, especially for me. Now, Courtney, she may have a different story, but for me, and in regards to her, it was just something that, that we do, it's just who we are. That's what we've done. So I don't make a big deal out of it.
Well,
so what have been the biggest challenges? I'm sorry. What has been the biggest challenges with bringing up Courtney? Because a lot of times too, when a player of your caliber has a child and they follow your footsteps, those are big shoes to fill. How did you manage her coming along, trying to come into her own being from out of your shadow? And she has become great in and of herself. How were you able to manage that? How were you able to do that?
Well, I believe one of the things that my husband and I did, we tried to make sure that she understood that there was never any comparison. We always wanted her to be her own person. So we brought her up that way. I didn't even, tell my daughters, what I had done in basketball. Other people would tell them, who your mother is?
Wow. Okay.
Because I just didn't want that pressure on them. You know what I mean? Of course, we get in the gym together. They would see me shooting around and different things like that. But I wasn't like pulling out tapes and pulling out old videos and old pictures and things like that. Other people would say something. And so it would force me to kind of find the old pictures and the old tapes and different things like that. But we always wanted both of our daughters to just be themselves, be their own people, and, you know, not worry about filling my shoes and fill your own shoes and be better than I ever was.
So what are some of the highs that you were able to share with your daughter? And also, did you talk about some of the pitfalls about playing basketball, about being in the spotlight like you were? People, you're always living in that fishbowl, and people are watching everything you do, from on the basketball court to in the classroom to in your personal life. How are you able to get her to be able to navigate that and also have a normal childhood?
I tried to make childhood for them as normal as possible, honestly.
Yeah.
My husband is really the one that got them in the gym all the time. I was the one buying doll houses, dolls. I wanted them to be girls. You know what I mean? I wanted them to have the normal childhood.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure they had a whole kitchen in their room, you know, a little play kitchen. They had a whole sink, cabinets and everything, just because I wanted them to not be so focused on basketball. Although I knew basketball would be a part of their future, I wanted to make sure that they had balance. That was very, very important to me. So I did all of those other things. Now, my husband, he's a basketball fanatic. So he was the one taking them to the gym. I didn't even go to the gym with them. I didn't want to put any pressure on them. He was the one, he's the one responsible. A lot of people, you know, give me credit, but honestly, my husband is the one that really worked with them year after year after year. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to make sure that they were balanced young women, young ladies, that basketball was not the only thing that they could do. So that was very, very important to me.
You know, knowing your family and knowing the pedigree that you come from athletically, how you've come about with the girls and how you and your husband have raised the girls, we're at this point in juncture where student athletes, college athletes, professional athletes are all under a microscope. And especially the female athletes who are coming under a lot of scrutiny, not just because of being athletes, but because of gender also. It's become an issue, and one that we've tried to address on the show, but one that I think needs to be addressed around the world. So when it comes to girls, especially your girls, I thought it was important that you said you tried to give them a normal setting, something that put them in a normal childhood setting, and they were able to make their choice. With your girls, did you see that that became a way of giving them some mental stability and emotional stability as they were coming up as young people?
Well, you know, like I said, that mental health part, that piece is huge, because I went through a lot of mental health issues as a college and as a professional player. So for me, you know, having that background, that mental health background, I was always very keen on making sure that I kept them balanced. And I use that word a lot because I think that it's important. Too much of anything is a sin. So I tried to make sure that they had enough basketball. My husband was also very good as they was developing, as they were coming up. He would make them take breaks. So they would play all summer, and then some, you know, now, you know, sports are all year round. You know what I mean? You can play AAU basketball all year. And so he would force them to sit down for a month just to take that time off, which I thought was very good because it gave their bodies time to rest. Believe it or not, they're young, and they were young at the time, but you're still putting miles on these babies' legs. Right. You're putting miles on them mentally, because as a parent, you want them to be successful. As a parent, you think they ought to be able to do this a little bit better. We've been working on this. Well, you still have to give that development time to develop. So again, balance for me is huge. The mental health part, because I did endure that, I was very, very, very keen on making sure that they stayed balanced. I tried to talk them through a lot of different things so that they would understand it's going to be okay. Like, this is just a game. You know what I mean? This is not the end of the world. Keep living. The sun going to shine in the morning. So, you know, I tried to make sure that it was just balanced for me.
Now, if you don't mind, let's delve into this a little bit. You were speaking of mental health issues, and we've had a lot of Naomi Osaka comes to mind when you talk about athletes who have said they're stressed and they've gotten to their point, their breaking point. And I think we see it a lot with, or we had seen it with the Williams sisters, where physically and mentally they were spent. We saw it with professional athletes. We've seen it with the LeBron James. We saw it with Kyrie Irving. We've seen this with players. So how do you start setting up an environment that's conducive for young people, especially young athletes, so that they have that mental and emotional stability on both sides?
Well, I think one of the things that we always have to do is remember that it is a game. And that at the end of the day, and I get winning and losing, like nobody likes to lose. It's a part of the process. Emotional training, I think that's very, very important. And what I mean by that is making sure you stay under control. So, we need to talk about when you lose, how you react. We need to talk about how, when you win, how you react. We need to talk about the fact that this is a season of your life. This is not going to be you forever. So those things, in my opinion, is very, very important. I used to tell my girls all the time, one day you will be me. And I don't just mean my daughters, I mean my players. One day you will be me. No, you won't be me physically, but one day you're going to be a wife. One day you're going to be a mom. One day you just have to be a citizen in the community, and you need to know how to react. Because there's not going to be cameras following you around all the time. There's not going to be a crowd of people in an arena ready to watch you play basketball, because eventually the air will seep out of the basketball. You will not be able to play the sport that you love for the rest of your life. So with that in mind, I think it's important that we keep those kinds of subjects on the forefront of athletes, because we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We get pressure from fans, we get pressure from coaches. We put pressure on ourselves, just us wanting to perform well, wanting to be in the limelight. You know what I mean? A lot of people like that. So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but with a false balance, it creates a very critical environment. And, I really felt bad for the young lady, the tennis player, because she was brutally honest, but I understood exactly what she was saying. I understood even what Simone Biles was saying at the Olympics, at the biggest stage there is in the world. And she had to step down because she did not feel right mentally. That was huge. That's huge. And, especially for females, we're a little bit more emotional than guys are. And so I think emotional training is important, that we keep everything in its proper perspective, so that things don't just go crazy. You know what I mean? So all of that, to me, in my opinion, is very, very important. And it should be talked about all the time.
We talk about males being mentally strong, and that's something that's bandied about a lot. The guys are strong, they're physically strong. But we've seen now a more of an unveiling and a lifting of the veil, if I can say that, where you see the fragility of not just the mental side or the physical side. And it's not just male or female. It's all athletes. We see it even within our community, as you said. So there has to be some kind of physical and mental training that these players get that really puts them back into a place of balance and an even keel, where they're able to even talk to someone. One of the last things I'll ask you in this, as we're talking about mental health, is, do you think that it's something that you need mental health professionals working with student athletes and working with athletes, period, to be able to help them balance the physical and the mental nature of the sport that they play?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, not to give a little shout out, but I guess I could shout out Bishop Knoll, the team, the school that my daughter goes to. They have a sports therapist on staff. Which
wow.
I think is crucial, it's critical. It is, because they know, they've been trained. Those therapists have been trained on how to see different things, how to identify different mental health issues, much more than I, as a mother, have. There are things that I can see because I'm mommy, but then there are some technical things that they're able to see past what I see. And then there are some techniques that I think that they have that, you know, are a little bit more effective. And so it's important. I think everybody should, you know, have access to a sports therapist, because it is very stressful. You know what I mean? Especially when you don't perform well, especially when you don't maybe go as far as you thought you should have. You don't become the athlete that you thought you should have become. And that was my issue. I didn't play in the WNBA long. And so for me, it was like, oh my God, I'm a failure. And it took me like 15 years, and I'm not even like exaggerating. It took me 15 years to dig myself out of that failure hole that I had dug. You know what I mean? And so it's important, that kind of thing is important, because there, and I don't say this to brag, but there are not many people in the world that can say that they play professional basketball. Right. And I just downplayed all of the things that I had accomplished. I downplayed it just because I did not go as far as I wanted to with it. So I understand the mental anguish, and I understand the heartache that comes with it. And so, yes, sports therapy, I think, is very crucial. It's critical, even at the high school and maybe even the middle school, because kids are being recruited now in middle school. You know what I mean? And so 8th grade success does not guarantee 12th grade success. Right. So what somebody tell me in the 8th grade, if I don't keep working, well, they said this, they said that, and I had this school following me in the 8th grade. Well, sometimes we can get a little complacent. And if I'm not doing everything necessary to maintain that status, when I get to the 12th grade and things kind of drop off, that can be very depressing, and that's a dark place. So I think it's important to have a sports therapist. Sorry if I talk too long.
Oh, no. I'll ask questions all day. And I know Jay has some follow-up on always, because we talk about mental health all the time. We talk about it with our young people that we've worked with. We talk about it, and especially now having a high-end athlete in the family, one who has to deal with the stress of going to school, maintaining not only his book work, but his social life and everything involved in it. And, oh, by the way, everybody's saying, you know what, man? You can play professionally. You should be playing professionally. You'll be great at that. And then the fallout from when he doesn't make that shot right, or when he doesn't get the work he wants to get in that gym, and then seeing the fallout from it, the stress that comes along with it. I think it's more than we, not only as parents, but we as a society. I don't think we really understand the totality of the pressure we put on young people to just perform, not just on the court, but on the field, in the classroom, at home. Some of these young people have now become the breadwinners for their family, and that pressure now is heaped on them. If I fail, then what happens to my family?
Well, especially now, and I don't mean to interrupt, with the NCAA instituting that you can get paid for your image and your likeness. So now, especially in college now, that adds another layer of pressure, because who does not want to have money in college? You know, I went to school. I remember eating ramen noodles. We didn't get, you know what I'm saying? We didn't get paid for our image and our likeness. You know what I mean? And so now you have athletes now, college athletes now, who have that option. And so that puts pressure on them to perform, to get myself out there, so that maybe somebody will see me and pick me up and endorse me and all of these different kinds of things. So now you got another layer of issues that could possibly come of this. You know, it looks good on the front side, don't get me wrong. But on the other side of it, that maybe we don't, you know, explore as much, that could be a problem. You know what I mean? I remember when I got drafted to the WNBA, there was some young ladies that did not get drafted. And and there was one story, a young lady committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
Like, wow. You know what I mean? Because she didn't get drafted she should have, you know, they have these projections. You're projected to go here, you're projected to go there. And then when the projection does not come to fruition, the heartache, you know what I mean? When you haven't been prepared for that drop, that, you know, your heart falling to the bottom of your feet because you didn't get what you wanted. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot to unpack.
It's just the stories have become so sad. And I'll do a quick diversion real quick. We just talked about young people who are getting promotional deals. Now, and I'm not going to call out anybody in particular. Yes, I am. Okay, so I saw Master P's son got $1 million endorsement deal to endorse something. I have no idea. And I saw another young man who got a lucrative deal. He was one of the first Huback players to get an endorsement deal. With that said, when we talk about, is that a good thing though, because you get money, or is it a bad thing because now you got more money that you don't know what to do with, and now you got to hire some people to watch your money?
It's balance. It all comes back to balance. You know what I mean? And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It can be a blessing and a curse depending on who you are, depending on how you came up. You know what I mean? Depending on who you have around you. You know, I think about the young lady. I can't think of her name. She ran track. She won. She was projected to be great at the Olympics, and a marijuana.
Sha'Carri Richardson.
The marijuana issue came up. I just wonder about her, and I don't know the full story, and maybe I shouldn't even be talking about it, but I just wonder about her team. You know, we know you just lost your mom, but just hold out 30 days. Can you just hold on for 30 days? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody in her corner to say to her, hold on, I know this is a difficult time for you. I know, you know, this is rough, but look at the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? And so I think about the team. Who is on your team? Do you have anybody on your team genuinely that wants you to be able to balance this new life? Because believe it or not, it's a new life. You're on this college campus. You got all of the freedom that you've not had before. You know what I mean? And so you're doing all of these new things. And now here comes money. Oh my goodness. That could be a real issue. So my thing is, when we begin to do this for our student athletes, who is a part of the village? Who's going to be the one to say, slow down? Who's going to be the one to say, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Don't say this, don't say that, don't post this. You know what I mean? Because now social media has a huge influence on endorsement or not being endorsed. So the team, the village is very, very crucial with our student athletes now.
Yeah, you know, Coach, it's very difficult to be in a young person's shoes who you're talking about, who's 18, 19, or 20 years old, and all of a sudden they have access to $500,000.
Yes.
When, you know, we have to go back and look at ourselves. When we were 18 to 19 years old, what would you have done if you had access to $500,000? So it's very difficult, I think, to project what's going to happen to these people who get these endorsement deals, because also you have a situation, Coach, and I'm sure you thought about this. What about if you have one player on the team who is getting an endorsement deal, and what happens to the other 11 or 12 other basketball players who are not getting endorsement deals? Do they expect the person getting the endorsement deal to spread the wealth, and what happens if they don't? I mean, so it's a lot of, like Biggie said, more money, more problems. This is a situation where we're looking at going like, wow, what do we really do? Coach, I just want to ask, we're talking about mental health. Do you ever get a chance, an opportunity to just watch men and women's basketball games just from a fan perspective, or are you always in the coaching mode? Is the game still fun for you? I think that's the question I'm looking for, because I know your livelihood, you're a basketball coach. This is what you do. And being where you are is based a lot of times on wins and losses. So you're always trying to be critical about what's going on in the basketball that you watch. Can you get some tips? Can you watch games in a relaxed mode, or are you always in coaching mode?
No, I cannot. I'm just going to be honest. I have not grown to the place where I'm just able to sit back and relax and watch, especially, you know, my girls, my high school kids, you know, college kids. Now, professional, a little bit, and I don't really watch a lot of it. But the high school and the college game, oh my God, I'm always in coach mode. I'm always trying to figure out how would I do, you know what I mean, if I was in this situation, and what would I do if I had these players, you know what I mean? So for me, no, I don't necessarily relax and when I watch it, because I don't know. It just something in me just leaps. It's just something in me jumps when, when I see it, especially if I see bad basketball. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah. So no, I don't. It's not a relaxing time for me. So I have to be cautious when I watch it.
I'm cautious too when I watch Bulls basketball because it hasn't been great basketball.
He said, "Oh my God."
It's good. It's going to be rough, Coach. It's going. Hey, we now. This isn't a Bull segment, but boy, you overpay too much for a forward for a name. They overpay too much, and now they finally they got the point guard. Hopefully, they can keep the 2 guard, and I don't know what else they're going to do. It's going to. I don't know, and it's going to be tough in the East. It's just they're at best they're 5th or 6th best in the East. Yeah. If they play to their top potential, that's where they are. And if they don't, it's going to be a long basketball. It might be over by Christmas.
Oh boy.
It's funny because they have a player. They have a young man, Patrick Williams, and it's what we were talking about. A lot of expectation. I want to say he was 19 when he was drafted, and he was thrown in the fire. He was literally thrown out there on the court, and they said, hey, guard LeBron and the rest of them people. Right. And you could see he's a stoic young man. But to your point earlier, I don't know about the mental health part of it because he always looked like it was excruciating. When you looked at his body language, when you looked at his face, he didn't look like, hey, I'm out here having a great time. I'm playing in the NBA and I got green shoes on and it's an amazing thing. No.
Leprechauns.
He always looked like he was being held hostage on the court and made to play. And I guess at this point, we're seeing more and more because more athletes have avenues. They have their own venues. They have their own platforms to discuss their mental health issue. In fact, with DeMar DeRozan now, who's playing for the Bulls, he openly spoke about having mental health issues and how it affected him as a high school player and a college player. Now we're looking at young people who are just, as you said, they're worried about it in high school, in junior high, like, ooh, on my AAU team, did I tweet out the right thing? Or am I, those coaches, do they like me? Or if I don't get the ball, I got to go to this other team because they're better and they got better equipment, so who's got the best if you want to be on the Nike squad or the Under Armour squad? I mean, those are serious things now they're talking about. So it's a lot that's going on. But with all that said, there's a lot going on with you too. There's a lot going on, a little movement, some things going on around in your world. So what I'm going to do is give you the chance to tell everybody what's going on with you. What are the projects that you are doing and what is it that you're doing moving forward in the future?
Well, project that I always have would be Hamblin Hoops. And that's why I have my Hamblin out. You can't see hoops, my Hamblin Hoops t-shirt on. I always, that'll always be something that I do. We have the MLK Girls Basketball Classic coming up in January. We're still working on all of the logistics when it comes to those kinds of things. Also a writer. I'm still trying to write all of these books that's inside of me. I'm trying to get them out of me because I do believe that my story has relevance. And so that's another project. I now also will be focusing more on my baby girl, my Kennedy. She's a sophomore at Bishop Noel. She'll also be playing basketball. And so with Courtney at Middle Tennessee State in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So we'll be traveling to see her as well. So I'm getting ready to get real busy. So and what I did in lieu of that, I did resign as the head women's basketball coach from Calumet College. I just needed some time because my daughters are getting older. And Courtney really taught me a great lesson. Courtney left here faster than I thought. So I'm looking at Kennedy and I'm like, let me hold on to my baby. Let me be there for her. I know as a coach, as a head coach at Calumet, I missed a lot of games because I was coaching and I don't want to miss anymore. I don't want to miss any games for Courtney. I don't want to miss any games for Kennedy. And so I needed to make an executive decision for me and for my family. And so that's what I did. And I'm excited. I'm not done coaching basketball. I'm working at a school now. I see a lot of athletes. The the view for me, I'm looking at footwork. I'm looking at how you hold a basketball, how you catch. And so as an elementary PE teacher, I'm looking at all of those things. And so I'm not done coaching, but for now, I just want to focus on Kennedy and her development, Courtney and her development moving forward, and just being available for my daughters.
And Jay, I told Coach, what we're going to do is we're going to take a class from her so that we can work on our jump shot and our handles on the court, because, you know, I need to, and, you know, it's been a while since, okay, it's never been, but I want to get on the court and do some things. I want to, like the senior league court.
Well, I'm going to get on the court, on the sidelines of the court, and watch you do all of those things. Because, Coach, let me tell you what happened. I'm a former D1 athlete.
Yes,
a basketball was laying over there by itself about 3 or 4 months ago, and I walked over there, nobody was, and I picked it up, and I dribbled it a couple of times, and I said, oh, well, you know, I used to shoot a little bit. I got to about 4 feet from the basket, Coach. I'm just going to shoot it up there. And Coach, I shot it up there, and I think my shoulder literally fell out of socket. It was it was the most humiliating thing. Now, I literally needed to put my arm in a sling, but I went and picked up that basketball, and I shot it 3 more times just to show that I could do it, but my shoulder hurt for a month, Coach. That just tells you where we are. It's a humbling experience, you know,
Yes.
when you're not able to do what you used to do at some point in time.
And that competitiveness that you have, you like, no, I don't care that my shoulder's falling off. I'm still shooting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're still a competitor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was really fun. Hey, Coach. For you too, we want to be part of this because what you're doing, and you ought to be commended. You put your family ahead of your career, which is commendable, because a lot of people really are just have the blinders on and they're just trying to get to the next job, and you're got the blinders on onto your main job, and that's being mom, and that's being commendable right there. I hope a lot of people who are going to be watching this take that to heart and say, hey, these things in front of you right here are really important, because at some point in time, like you said, you looked how quickly Courtney left, and I actually went on YouTube and saw her announcement that she made when she was going to Middle Tennessee State. That wasn't that long ago, and now you see your young sophomore at some point in time. Before you know it, she'll be making an announcement too. So that's commendable, Coach, and I just wanted to tell you that's an example, and I'm going to tell other people about that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Well, you know, G.SIZZLE speaks for himself. Let me tell you something. They used to call me Sugarfoot because my feet were so sweet on the court and on the field. That's what I did. I got ill, baby. I did what I had to do. Now, okay, I don't shoot the ball, but that's because a coach told me, he said, son, there are things that the Lord has called you to do. And I said, you're right, sir. And he said, this basketball is not one of them. But if you determine that that's what you want your goal to be, I said, I can stay right here under this basketball, and sir, anybody who comes, I definitely will stop them and impede their progress. I can hold them here at the line, or I can come through the line. I know I've got some good swim moves. I've got a good get off move where, you know, I hump, get off, and then I come around, and like if the point guard is carrying the ball, then I can catch him in the backfield, and that's what I do. You know, that's what I do. And he's
and he was just telling me recently that his nickname used to be Sugarfoot. Now it's Sweet and Low. So I just want to let you know this is what you're getting, Coach.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you some things to go on up in here. I'm just telling you. And that's when the coach said to me, he said, son, the point guard doesn't carry the ball. I said, well, somebody's got to carry the ball, because how do you make a first down? And he said, yeah. Go on over there and sit down, son, and watch the.
Yeah, you'll be sitting with me.
All right, it's all right. I know one thing, that once I get some Hamblin hoops in me, I'm gonna do my thing, and it's gonna be a swish. That's all you're gonna hear is. Yeah, swish. We're not going to hear any of that till I get my Hamlin Hoops shirt. I'm going to put Coach on blast. Look, man, I've been begging for a shirt for years. I know that they don't have the big man sizes, but I need the big man size Hamlin shirt. And until I get it, I'm in protest, and I am protesting right now.
You know what? As I'm telling you, when we make another order for T-shirts, I promise you, I got you. I got both of you. I appreciate it. I definitely do.
Okay, because don't think I won't find you. I mean, I know where you stay. I'll find you. I'll be there. I want my T-shirt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got you.
And a headband.
We don't have headbands.
And a wristband.
We just have T-shirts.
You just want a full swag bag.
Yeah,
I want it.
And the Hamlin shoe when it comes out. I want the Angie Force One when it comes out. That's right.
We'll speak that to existence.
I know. I'm not going to even tell him no. Yes, okay, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for sharing your time with us. I know we held you longer than we were supposed to, but I appreciate you coming on and just sharing with our listeners what it is like not only to be a mom, to be a Hall of Fame player, to be great at what you do, and then know how to share it with others. That's what we truly appreciate.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My pleasure. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And you know what this is. This is The Sizzle here on Iron Skillet Radio, Iron Skillet Television. Make sure that you've liked, subscribed, and shared. And make sure that you send this to somebody. Make sure that you send this to that young person in your life that needs a little direction. Make sure you send this to that parent who needs to know, what do I do with my child in this situation? How do I help them to move forward and navigate the world of sports? So, you know who's in the building. He's G.SIZZLE. I'm G.SIZZLE. And we will see you, my friend, on the other side.
Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Iron Skillet Sports. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Iron Skillet Sports on YouTube at Iron Skillet Sports.